Putting on my top hat, tying up my white tie, brushing up my tail.
Welcome to Hatcast,
the podcast about hats.
I'm Charles Berman.
And I'm Carl Bernhardson.
And this week, ladies and gentlemen, we're still here to talk about hats, but we are not the only ones here.
No, we have another guest, second time ever.
But the first time ever for this guest.
Right, and as per usual, it's not a hat expert, it's just one of our friends.
Although last time he was someone who had researched hats very thoroughly. I don't want to denigrate the hat expertise of Chris.
No, Chris did know what he was talking about. But it's not like we scoured the internet for someone who knew about hats.
No.
I took somebody who is my friend who I work with.
Yes. If you are on the internet and know about hats and would like to join us for Hatcast, drop us a line.
We might make it happen.
Or we might be confused by the fishing line hanging from above our heads.
You're the one who said drop a line. You know.
I know. Yes. I was engaging in patter.
We're joined by
Carl Schrecongost.
Carl Schrecongost, thank you for joining us on Hatcast.
It's such a pleasure to be here. Well, time will tell, but tentatively.
So far, it's a pleasure to be here. We haven't been trying to make it a misery for you.
Not yet.
I appreciate that dearly.
Well, the subject of this episode, before we get to that, Carl, for clarity's sake, I'll call you Carl Bernhardson.
Right.
Yikes.
You mentioned you had an interesting hat that you wore today.
Well, not today, this past weekend. And it wasn't that I wore a hat, it's that I didn't wear a hat. I went to the beach to go swim in the ocean. I like the ocean, and it was fun to swim in it.
I wear hats outside usually, but not when swimming outside.
No, but when walking around the beach, you might wear a hat.
I do,
In fact, that's a great time to wear a hat,
yeah.
Especially if you also didn't bring any sunscreen. And now I'm in pain. I made a terrible mistake. I didn't wear a hat on the beach, and
Did you get sunburn on your head?
My scalp hurts. Yes.
Ah.
Now my hair has turned a lighter shade of blonde, which I like. But this is also the first time that the top of my head has been exposed to the sun in a while. So.
That hasn't happened to me. Now I'm pretty scrupulous. I don't know if it's really a matter of scruples, but I wear my hat outside pretty regularly. I don't do it when swimming, but I don't have very jungly tendrils of hair atop my head. I think I would be at risk for that if I forgot my hat on a sunny day.
Yes, and this was a very sunny day. So there's a cautionary tale. As someone who does a podcast about hats, I should have remembered a hat. I even brought the hat. I just left it in the car. So
don't do that.
Don't do it.
Carl Schrecongost, has that ever happened to you?
I've got mittens in my car, but no hats.
All right. Well, the mittens are good for when it's winter.
Right.
Your hands can be out.
Or the summer to prevent your hands from burning.
Yes, or
well, if sure, and I don't go swimming either. I just feel I can't sympathize.
Right. Okay, that's fine. Moving on.
Moving on now to correspondence.
Oh, did we have some correspondence?
We had a little bit of correspondence.
I'm always so surprised.
This is from my wife.
I guess that counts.
She heard us talking about the custom hats last week in the Amazing Hat Mystery.
Right.
And she sent 3 links to custom hat makers in New York City. The Delmonico Hatter, which appear to be featuring a tricorner right at the top of their page, and Worth and Worth.
Oh.
Here, and then it looks like Watson's Hat Shop, which is quite an impressive rack of hats on the front. And these all make custom hats bespoke to your head size.
Huh.
And
we did say, wouldn't it be nice to find that?
Yeah, now they do cost apparently hundreds of dollars per hat.
Right. But hopefully you're only buying that hat once per life.
Yes.
Right?
I was sent, we're doing a little bit of a freer form episode than often, so I'll tell this story now. I was once sent on a hat mission to the place that Carl Schrecongost, you're going to be living soon, because a friend of mine here in Binghamton-ish area had a hat that he had bought at Boscoff's department store 20-something years ago at the time, in the 80s. And he had been wearing it often. It was a sort of green felt broad-brimmed hat. And he said, "Do you ever go to New York City?" And I said, "Yes." "Next time you go, could you bring this hat and get it reblocked for me?"
So the person who made that hat will continue to repair it forever.
Well, these hats, yes, because they do blocking. And this was a Boscov hat that was unrelated to the people that I had to go on the internet and find who would do hat reblocking for the hats of others.
Huh.
And it didn't do anything about the sweat stains on the felt of this well-worn hat.
Right.
But it did, shape it better to the ideal hat shape,
right. I assume after 20 years it had become a little bit less hat-shaped.
Yes. And I think it was about $70, and I had to call him on his home phone from the hat store to make sure that he was all right with the price of this reblocking. And he said, $70? But he didn't want to say no after he'd sent me to New York with the hat, and I'd gone to the hat shop.
Huh.
Darn.
Yeah. So these things exist. Now let's go on to the subject of the day.
Yes.
And this is a subject which I think is very relatable.
Well, I think this subject is something which has occurred to everybody. And once again, we're being mysterious about the reveal when it's in the title.
Yeah.
It's about getting hats as gifts.
Yes. Now, this has occurred to everybody. Maybe you haven't received a hat as a gift.
Probably you have, though.
You probably have, especially if you ever wore a hat before you were an adult and had your own money.
Right. Most hats I got as a child I didn't buy with money.
Yeah, they were your parents usually, and again, some parents take on this responsibility more responsibly, and they take on this responsibility more well than others, but they're supposed to clothe their children.
Right. And then, even as an adult, I have received hats as gifts.
Yes.
In fact, I receive a lot of hats as gifts because people know I like hats. And I assume after a year of doing a podcast about hats, I'll continue to get hats as gifts.
That might happen, yes.
My mother tends to get me hats as gifts pretty frequently. Some of my favorite hats are gifts from my mother.
Right.
So,
Carl, you had a story about getting hats as gifts.
Yes. My mom knits and is an incredible knitter of hats, among other things. And I've gotten multiple hats as gifts from Mom. And maybe the first one, which I wore quite frequently back in high school, was sort of like an orange knit cap with flaps. And then it had like a dark blue and white detail, kind of oceanic. And that I wore quite a bit in high school. And then, but as the years have gone by, I've grown up. And I've realized more and more that I'm just not a very strong wearer of hats. And so I run into the situation, of course, of receiving a hat as a gift that I must wear, that I must wear, clearly, but also that I wish not to. Oh, ouch, ouch. And they're so gosh darn beautiful hats. They're such gosh darn beautiful hats.
It being made specifically for you adds an extra layer of must wear, right?
Oh,
like I've gotten one or two hats that I didn't like as much as my other hats, but in the end it was just a thing that was bought at the store with me in mind, but it wasn't something that was very labor intensive to produce.
We do run the risk that some of the people who've given you hats might be listening to this.
Oh yeah, I mean I've said I like almost all of the hats I've been given. I'm actually very happy to get hats as gifts, especially hats that I wouldn't have bought myself.
Right.
It's a great way to add a hat to your hat rotation that you otherwise wouldn't have had the chance to do. Because I tend to be pretty conservative in my hat purchasing, and I tend to be pretty repetitive in the wearing of hats.
But Carl, that's a challenge.
What?
That's a challenge.
What is a challenge?
Just wait till the next hat I get you.
Oh, well,
it's going to be outrageous.
That's the thing. Oh, but here's the thing. My favorite hat that I wear all fall now and all winter.
The corduroy pit helmet.
Well, no, not the corduroy pit helmet, but another gift. That was a gift. That one that's a sometimes hat.
Yeah.
But the deerstalker that I got from the same gentleman is fantastic. My one of my former employers
excellent hat.
gave me a corduroy pith helmet, which is unique in the world.
Yes.
And a absolutely wonderful deerstalker.
That is a nice deerstalker.
I would never have gone out and bought myself a deerstalker, But now I'm a guy who wears a deerstalker.
I did, and I did it because I was on Baker Street. And there was, of course, a person in a stall selling...
Deerstalkers.
Yes. They were actual good quality hats.
Really?
They weren't polyester reproduction deerstalker. It's a wool, well-made deerstalker that, someone bought up stock and set up a shop on Baker Street.
My wool train engineer's hat that I wear in the winter when I'm like doing outdoor winter chores like shoveling, or I guess that's the big one. I wear that hat. It's very warm. It's got flaps that come down. It's got a nice brim to keep the snow out of your glasses, which is a big problem for me. That is a gift as well.
We haven't addressed... Well, and Carl, we don't know how... You like that orange hat with the flaps and the blue.
Absolutely, and I lost it in a duffel bag.
Oh, no.
Have you tried looking inside the duffel bag?
The duffel bag was part of the problem. Yeah, the vessel was lost.
Oh, I see. So we haven't discussed really what to do if you receive a hat as a gift which you do not like.
You wear it when you're around the person who gave it to you, and you never mention that you don't like it.
Yes, I think that is.
I think that's the only response.
Has that ever happened to either of you?
No, I've loved every hat I've ever been given.
I was given a hat by my mother, which is a sort of mustard yellow colored knit cap.
Oh.
Which is rather large, so it would cover most of one's head.
Most?
I think a Rastafarian probably could wear it for a while until the Rastafarian haircut had developed to a significant degree.
But you're saying this is a big hat. It could contain a lot of hair.
It's a voluminous sort of hat, yeah. One doesn't necessarily have to have a lot of hair.
Mustard yellow is a very polarizing color.
Yes.
I love mustard yellow. Every other human being who I've ever met says you shouldn't wear mustard yellow, Carl. I once had like a monochromatic mustard yellow outfit that I wore.
It's kind of cowboy themed.
Yeah, the cowboy themed outfit thing. And my sister has never stopped talking about it.
Well,
so,
what were the qualities of this outfit, but apart from the mustard yellowness of it?
It was yellow pants and a yellow sweater.
Because you didn't look like a colonel. You couldn't pass as Colonel Mustard.
I didn't look like Colonel Mustard. I looked super monochromatic.
There was wasn't there a vest though?
Oh, there was also there were mustard yellow corduroy pants and a mustard yellow vest. I loved mustard yellow in college, and it doesn't go well with my complexion, and it doesn't look good ever. I know now, after having been told so. Sometimes you have to realize that you wear clothes so that other people like the way you look, not so that you like how you look.
Do you find that to be a sad defeat?
No, I think it's another way that clothes are a tool, right? They keep you warm, they keep you dry, they keep you in the good graces of the people around you.
That they certainly can contribute to that.
Yeah.
So that hat I have worn before. I have a mustard yellow sweater that I wear from time to time. But that hat, I think, has been worn more... And I just generally don't wear a lot of knit hats, to be honest, though.
Oh, see, I like a good knit hat. Although almost all of my knit hats are maroon. I love a good maroon knit hat.
Do you have more than one?
I have 3 maroon knit hats.
Is there a reason to have more than one?
You keep one in your car, you keep one in your desk at work, and keep one at home.
I see.
Yep.
Now, we haven't gone over the rules of giving hats.
Right.
Which I think, and if people have more questions about this, they can always address them to us. Yeah. But
have you ever given a hat as a gift?
I'm thinking now, and I don't know if I ever have.
Really? I tend to give my sister hats because she's outdoors a lot and likes hats.
What kinds of hats have you given to your sister?
Mostly maroon knit caps.
I see. And has she ever said, Carl, this seems to be the same gift you gave me last time?
It's come up.
I see.
But it's been the other way around, too. I've gotten maroon knit caps from her.
Did you ever consider they might have been the same hats that you had given to her, and she's trying to find a way to get rid of them?
No, I don't think so. I think we just burn through these caps.
I see. Oh, so I'm starting to doubt there was ever more than 2 caps in circulation.
There was even a pack that came with 3 caps. One was maroon, one was kind of like a burnt orange, and a gray. And I think we threw the other 2 away. And just
what
kept
a
the
waste
maroon
of
ones.
hats.
By threw away, I mean put them in the, hat bin at our parents' house.
Oh, or
yeah.
Well, a hat bin is not throwing away.
No.
Yeah. That's a gold mine for fans of hats. So, have you ever given a hat which was not a maroon knit cap?
Oh, I gave a pith helmet once.
You gave away a pith helmet.
It wasn't a real pith helmet. It was a costumey pith helmet made of cardboard that I had bought for costume. And then someone said, I wish I had a pith helmet. And I said, well, I have something that's kind of like a pith helmet. And I gave it to them.
How kind of you.
It was almost thoughtful.
Right. Carl, have you ever given a hat?
Never.
Would you?
No.
The trouble with giving hats is that you have to know the person's head size.
See, that's why, like, stretchable hats, like knit caps that are maroon, are perfect.
I see. So this is maybe going off the subject of hats, but Carl, have you ever given your sister anything which was not a maroon knit cap?
Yes. I gave her a watch once.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
A maroon knit watch.
If only. Charles, have you ever given a hat as a gift?
I'm thinking, and I don't know if I ever have.
I can't remember if I already asked you that earlier.
You have, yeah.
I did. Okay. I'm sorry.
I can't actually recall ever doing it, but I think I would do it. But it does. I think it does require a certain amount of knowledge of the person and of audacity to do.
True.
Because you have to know the person's head size, or we give an adjustable or knit variety of hat.
Now, Charles, you know that I like hats.
Yes.
And my birthday was a month ago, and I don't remember getting anything.
Well, maybe I should get you a hat.
You're welcome to do it.
Yes. Well,
but don't feel obligated. I don't mean to pressure you.
What kind of hat should Carl get? Maybe he already has all the hats he wants, as the host of Hatcast.
No, I'm always happy to get a hat as a gift. Anyone out there can give me a hat. Yeah. Carl, you gave me a hat once.
Is that true?
You did.
When was that?
You hated it. It was a bad hat.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the hat that you gave me.
I was seeking a waterproof hat, and in my foolishness, what did I seek but a hat with a brim, a bucket hat. I was seeking a waterproof bucket hat. I did a little research about bucket hats and determined that the Kangol brand of bucket hat was in fact hip as hell.
Yeah.
Having been popular among the hip-hop community in the 80s. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So, what do I do but slip on over to KangolInternational.com and I find the most disastrously scary-looking black Kangol waterproof bucket hat. So it was like
scary-looking black Kangol.
So it was oblong, like oval in shape, so that it hugged the sides of your head, and it was black except for like a badge, a Kangol badge on one side. It looked sinister. It looked sinister, and it made you sinister. And I wore it outside in the rain once, and it was, my dear God, it was freaky.
Were you having problems with your head getting wet a lot?
I think it was kind of more of a conceptual problem I was struggling with. And then I went and ordered the thing online. I don't know what I was going through. It was worse than that, for sure. That's more of the classic Kangol.
And I was so excited to get it.
And you just, so at this point, you bought this for yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
And you decided, I'm going to plunge into hats. I want a Kangol bucket hat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
a black one for the rain.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. A waterproof. It was specifically...
A waterproof Kangol black rain bucket hat.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't sound like... this doesn't sound too much like Carl to me. I don't know.
Hey, I have a spin dryer. A portable spin dryer that I use in my bathtub.
All right.
That's my confession. Furthermore, can I suggest a mini segment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking about custom hats, and I was thinking about hats as gifts. What about hats as like a collaborative, creative endeavor? Thus, papier-mâché hats or masks.
A papier-mâché hat?
Oh. You can sort of like a single, or like a specifically, I've made this for you as a gift for you to enjoy and for us to enjoy now.
Or rather, here you are with me in this room. Let's put wet newspapers on one another.
Oh, the gift is the making of the hat.
Well, could you imagine? Because a couple
all the wonderful things he does.
Paper mache. What a miracle. Because you can make it two ways. You can either put a little flour and water on the stove and simmer it for a while till it gets real sticky. Or you can just put flour in water, but you have to use 3 times as much flour. You stir it real good. Then you put your pieces of paper in the mixture and you put them on something. So what I would do is I would actually put foil on your head and then put the paper mache on that, so you're not pulling your hair out, maybe. But I made a really successful mask a couple of Halloweens ago.
Oh, I've seen it. It's yeah.
I gotta say, I think you've gone in your hat preferences from ideal rain-wearing hats to the worst idea for rain hat.
Gosh, disintegratable. Unless, well, I guess you could kind of dunk it in poly or something.
You can poly it. Yeah, that'd be kind of...
That would be very hot.
And, you know, polyurethane, especially on, like, things that aren't solid, gets, like, a little bit malleable and sticky.
Just like me. Furthermore, I made a mask once for a musical show that I was going to that was like a costume show. And I think I was laying the paper mache. No, I laid foil on my face and pulled it off and then did paper mache on the foil. And I did there was a part that went over my nose and eyes and another part that went over my mouth so that so that I could drink beer through it. And it was beautiful.
So I'm curious about the end of the story, though. You bought this hat, and you got it in the mail, I'm guessing, from Kangol.
Yes.
And you put it on, and what happened?
So I walked outside during a big rainstorm to go get some food, and that experience was just scarring enough. Like, I got inside and I took the hat off and had to slip it into my pocket.
Did people look at you with horror?
I'm not sure there was anybody else out there besides passing cars, but like just my imagination of what the cars must have felt was enough, you know.
And then you gave it to Carl.
Oh, Carl, yeah, and he definitely scared some folks with it.
I thought I looked really cool, but I did not.
How did people react to your wearing of this? Storied hat?
At one point, a friend of ours encountered me in the rain wearing this hat and my blue raincoat, which made me look kind of like a cowboy. For a while, I liked clothes that made me look like a cowboy.
Usually people go, if they're trying to look like a cowboy, they usually go with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat.
Right.
Rather than a blue raincoat and a Kangol rain bucket hat.
This was more of a loose concept of cowboy. Like the cowboy feeling. Anyway, he saw me in the rain, and his comment was, I thought you were going to try to go at me with a hook. Did we talk about this already?
With a hook.
With a hook.
Not live.
Not live. Okay, we talked about this before. You know, what is Hatcast and what is real life are really sort of blurring together.
Well, Hatcast is real life.
That's true.
You're not imagining this.
And you do stream 24/7, Carl.
That's true. It's always on.
Yeah. So he thought you were going to threaten with a hook.
That was his.
Yeah.
He was making fun of me by saying that you look like a man with a hook in his pocket who's going to throw it at me and cause me to be dead.
There was something really frightening about this rain hat.
This rain hat did not. And then I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh no, I don't look good. I've just been imagining myself as looking good.
This is a little.
It takes any person's nose and turns it into like a terrifying snout.
Yeah,
it just elongates your face to hell.
As you can tell, there is no love for the bucket hat on Hatcast. This has been, if you've listened to episode 2, Bucket Hat, or this episode, you can tell we.
Well, no, if you got a proper fuzzy Kangol,
that'd be fine, right?
And you knew what you were doing, you could rock out with it.
I have to say, I have a black bucket hat. From the New Britain Bees baseball team when I was there.
Did they give it to you?
No, I got it for some amount of money that wasn't exorbitant, but I got it there because I only have a couple of bucket hats. It's not a rain one. It's sort of it's synthetic, but it's for hot weather use. But I haven't ever had the response, "You look frightening with that."
Huh. Well, maybe it was just this particular hat, which is somewhere in this house, but I don't know where.
I was going to say, I'm curious now.
Yeah, I think it's several floors above us in the attic.
Uh-huh.
Oh, to listeners who may remember previous episodes where I mentioned living in an attic, I don't live in my attic anymore. I'm in a new house, which has an attic where I store things.
Attic, in some sense, is like the hat of the house.
Oh, we'll do an episode on that.
No.
And on that note, I think we've exhausted the...
Yes, to summarize, hats can make good gifts.
Yes, be thoughtful in giving them.
Yeah, the rules, be thoughtful. Do not give excessively ugly hats. Do not give the same person the same kind of hat over and over and over again.
And consider an experiential papier-mâché-based hat-making process as a gift.
If you give a hat, make sure to give the right size. So don't be afraid. If you're going to give a hat and you don't know the person's hat size, don't be afraid to say, what is your hat size? Then they'll tell you and you'll get the right size of hat. If you get a hat, wear it for the person at least once.
Right. Be nice.
You are delighted to have received this hat.
You should, even if it is a hat you do not like, you should be filled with joy that you have been given another hat.
Yes.
You now have another hat.
Yes.
And there's nothing more pleasurable than counting all your hats before you go to bed.
That's right. You don't have to wear it every day. But there might be some day when this is the hat to wear. And you can do it.
So I think that's I don't know, there's nothing to rate.
No, there's nothing to
10
rate.
out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, experience of getting hats, 10. Giving hats, 10. Is it practical to give a hat? Yes.
Whoa. Getting hats, 9.5. Giving hats, 10. The proverb can't be wrong here.
Okay. So this is the third of 3 episodes where we didn't review
a particular variety of hat.
Next week, though...
A return to form.
A return to form.
To tradition.
Tradition. In fact, a very traditional hat.
Yes.
You're going to like it.
I hope so.
You better.
But for now, by the way, if you have any comments on the important subjects and questions that we have raised during this discussion, just send them to hatcast@yandex.com.
We really do like to hear from you.
That's hat as in the thing you put on your head. Cast as in what you do with a fishing line at yandex.com.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I used to tell her keep her hands up off my head.
So I've remembered now. In fact, I bought this waterproof bucket hat because my coat did not have a hood. That was my issue.
You could have bought a coat with a hood.
Yeah, my coat was so damn trashy, but nope, it was a horrible coat and it didn't have a hood. I bought a terrible hat.
This is a sad story all around. But as I say, I know you're not a hat wearer now, but I can understand you being burned by the hat buying experience. You also were mentioning the difference between your bucket hat and mine. Yours is ovular?
Yes. So it hugs the sides of your head and makes you terrifying.
Bye.
Goodbye.
I used to tell her keep her hands up off my head. I think she got it like that. Maybe you could wear my hat. Just make sure you give it back. Maybe you could wear my hat. If you got something to make.